Sam, you're supposed to host Education Today.
No, today's not my day.
It's the county commissioners.
That's okay.
Your mom's coming.
Education Today starts now. Welcome to Education Today. I'm Sam Long of the Armstrong High School in the Armstrong School District. Tonight we continue with a new chapter of programming within the Education Today series. During the 2015-2016 school year, the County Commissioners approached the AHS-TV studio about recording their monthly update discussions for publication on the website. This year we are taking partnership one step further and including these meetings as a part of a new series here at Education Today. Due to the importance of this information to the entire community of the Armstrong School District and the ongoing attempt to keep the district connected to the community, this was seen as a win-win for everyone. Each month we will be joined by Commissioners Pat Fabian, Jason Renshaw, and George Skamai, as well as a special guest from the county, to discuss the local updates and news coming from the Office of the Commissioners. Welcome to Education Today. Would you please introduce yourself to the viewers?
Sure, Sam, and thank you. My name is Pat Fabian, Chairman of the Armstrong County Board of Commissioners.
Yeah, again, thank you, Sam. My name is Jason Renshaw, Vice Chairman of the Armstrong County Commissioners.
Sam, I like that name. That's my son's name. I'm George Skamai, Secretary of the Armstrong Board of Commissioners.
Zane Dudak, also a student here at Armstrong.
It is my understanding that you will be recognizing a few of our AHS students today. Could you please explain why?
Yeah, sure, Sam. Something we wanted to do at our last public meeting was recognize all the student athletes in Armstrong County from across the county, bring them in kind of for donuts and coffee, but because of inclement weather, we weren't able to do that last week, so we wanted to hand off those certificates of recognition to some of your student athletes here today. So Zane, on behalf of the Armstrong County Board of Commissioners, we wanted to present you representing the football team with a certificate of achievement and recognition on your outstanding season this fall. So if you guys would hand out to Zane.
All right, buddy. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, guys.
Hey, congratulations there.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
There you go. There.
So Zane, I just a couple quick questions, and we'll let you get back to class. But you know, this is just, I guess, just one more award, I guess, in your treasure chest this year. So what's been the most enlightening thing about this past fall and this past football season?
The best thing that happened this year was just, I think, winning the conference with a team that wasn't predicted to win the conference, going out and doing it in front of a great community that we have here. Their tremendous support. It was awesome to do it in front of them with a great group of guys as my teammates. Can't thank them enough. They put in the best work possible for me. So to do it and prove everyone wrong, that was probably the best part.
And Commissioners, I don't know if you know this, but my brother actually is the head football coach. So looking back over Zane's past 4 years when he entered the program as a freshman, I kind of had a sideline view of this young man, and it was kind of numbing to see what he could do on the field. And how you matured each year. And this year, without maybe I thought this year's team was different than years past because you were kind of the centerpiece. You guys really did roll out that blue collar mantra, and work with it, and seemed to buy into the offensive scheme this year. And it really was a team effort in a lot of ways. Would you agree?
Oh, definitely. It was a total team effort. The defensive side of the ball, we were great this year, and that started from our line. We had some young players on the line, but we had a lot of mentors to help them through the year. So we all had to work as a team, especially on defense this year, to get it done because our offense was putting up points. We started to get going middle of the year to put up a lot of points, so our defense was holding to little points each game, and it was credit to the younger guys up front.
Right. So Zane, I know this came out probably yesterday as I read it. You did select a college. You want to tell the audience what college you'll be going to next fall?
Yeah, last Tuesday I committed to Yale University. When the coaches were over for a home visit, it was a pretty relieving feeling to get it all over with, but glad with the decision I made.
Good.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, congratulations.
That's awesome. So, well, again, thank you for your time. And it was a joy personally for me to watch you play the last 4 years. And I know you brought a lot of joy to the community. We wanted to recognize yourself, but not only that, but the team. Because, like you said earlier, without those guys blocking for you, a lot of that yardage wouldn't be attainable. So,
Thank you. I really appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Zane, and good luck at Yale. Okay, we're going to take a quick break and be right back with more of Armstrong School District's Education Today.
Success. We see it every day. Hundreds of majors and programs, bachelor's degrees to PhDs, small classes, internationally known faculty who are committed to your success. Real-world experiences to guide you on your career and life path. An alumni network 120,000 strong. I'm IUP President Mike Driscoll. Visit us. Find your success at Indiana University of Pennsylvania.
It's hard to explain. It just became home. There are hundreds of majors and programs, bachelor's degrees to PhDs, small classes and faculty that really get to know you. Amazing internships and everywhere, programs that help to find a job that is right for you. It's what IUP is about, a commitment to your success. See it for yourself. Visit us. Indiana University of Pennsylvania. Find your success.
The brain is a remarkable organ. It's almost infinite in its capacity. Its ability to reach its full potential is limited by only one thing: the heart. For if the heart isn't fully engaged in what you're doing, if you have no drive, no passion, the brain will simply go through the motions. Find your success at Indiana University of Pennsylvania.
All your professors, all of them, they know that all it takes is one dreamer with passion, one person, and they hope in each of you that you might be that one who makes a longer-lasting light bulb, who writes music for the ages, who reaches into the mind and discovers a new star, and who can change the world of a fifth grader. We're gathered here to hope in you.
Welcome back to Armstrong School District's Education Today. Tonight we are talking with the county commissioners about their December updates. I understand that tonight's primary topic of discussion is the 2017 budget. What can you tell us about that?
Well, Sam, the Board of Commissioners at last Thursday's public meeting passed the 2017 budget, which we pledged about in July that we were going to start meeting with elected officials and department heads, and we dug our feet in the sand, so to speak, and we were committed not to raising taxes. So we did bring our special guest tonight, which we need to introduce, Jen Long. She's the Assistant Director of Administration and our financial advisor as well. So Jen kind of updated the public last Thursday, and we thought that it would be best that she could do that today as well.
I sure can. Yeah, like you said, we've been working on this budget since August, and we finally pulled it all together here. What we presented last week was a final budget for 2017, $21,153,372 is the budget for next year. Year over year, kind of how we look at it, comparing to 2016, it's actually a decrease in the budget of about $180,000. A lot of that it's all driven by revenues. We've been saying all year, the last couple months, we've been talking about 2016 performance and the budget going forward. And we've been talking about a couple of areas where our revenues are down. They were down in 2016, and we also anticipate that they'll be down in 2017. Some of those areas included in our corrections department. We have a fewer number of state inmates, so we're getting less dollars in from the state there. Our Marcellus funding, people are finding all over the state that Marcellus funding is being cut back. That was another area. We also relooked this for the 2017 budget at our assessed value, so we had a decrease in tax revenues just off the bat coming in, as well as some of our departments, especially in the area of courts, the state reimbursements were down. So we had almost $600,000 in revenue decreases, but we were able to work with some of our departments, especially the court area. They were very generous in coming up with creative ideas of how we can make up that revenue. Some of our departments, such as domestics and probation, they have some outside funds that they can use, and as I said, the courts were very generous. They have offered to use much of that funding before they come to the general fund to ask us. So that helped offset that, and we were able to offset it. Our revenues only went down by about the $180,000.
Jen, is it safe to say without that cooperation, without that level of cooperation, that we probably wouldn't have been able to make the...
Most definitely, most definitely. Like I said, when we looked at some of the big areas of revenues, we were down almost $600,000. So to get it to the 180, about $400,000 is coming in from those other departments there in funding. So I can't say enough how generous the courts were to work with us so that we do not have to raise taxes, because that's really our only other source of funding, and you guys were committed to not doing that. While our revenues were going down, our expenses, as everybody knows, expenses always continue to go up. So we looked also on that side for ways that we could balance the budget. We had areas where our expenses went up, again in our corrections department. Allocations to some of our outside agencies, such as 911 or Children and Youth, they went up because a lot of that's driven by state mandates, where they mandate that you do the activities, but they don't, of course, give you any funding for it. So it falls on the general fund to offset that. We also had a big increase in our pension contribution, so our retirement plan. We, again, were able to look at that, and we have worked very hard and had a lot of cooperation from most all of the department heads, the elected officials, and we've gone back and forth, and we found a lot of areas where we were able to cut expenses to, again, not have to increase the taxes and offset that lower revenue. So with the cooperation of many of those department heads and elected officials, we found areas such as our health center. We cut the allocation to them. We did some restructuring and right sizing of departments, so we were able to cut back on some of the positions that we have there. We also had a we had a decrease in our health care. When we talked last time about the preliminary budget, we had about a 6% increase in our health care costs. Thanks to our director of Human Resources, Dan Lukovich, I'll give him a plug there. Right. We were able to negotiate actually a decrease of 4.63% in our health care premiums for all of our at-will employees, which is pretty much unheard of these days. Yeah. So, even though we had increased expenses, we made some big cuts, we made some big changes there, and we were able to offset that. And again, we balanced our budget. We're down slightly from last year, and there was no tax increase. So we really did it from within. So.
I think one thing that was not mentioned and got some headlines last week, gentlemen, was the 20 employees being laid off. Jen, do you have a final number? I mean, I know it, but for the sake of the show, do you know what that number roughly is?
In dollars?
In dollars, just wages, not even including
in wages, I think it came out to about $350,000, about $350,000 that we were able to reduce there. We looked a lot at like the part-time people that we had, and just, we have lower revenues coming in because we don't have a lot of the foot traffic coming in, and just a lot of that is going down. We've also increased a lot of technology, and unfortunately that takes away from the number of people that you necessarily need to run a department. So yeah, it was about $350,000, and that is just straight salary. So of course we have related benefits that would go with that would save us money too.
Well, we called that right sizing
right.
When we were talking about during the 2017 budget. It did save some money there. I know nobody we don't want anybody to lose their job in county government, but we have a fiducial responsibility to make the best decisions for Armstrong County, and we felt that we could provide the same amount of service that we do now without those employees. And George, you brought it up last week, and I want to make sure it's clear that these decisions to lay off these 20 employees, part-time, full-time, were not just our decisions. We met with those elected officials, we met with those department heads, and we discussed how their departments operate and if that was a possibility. And we asked every department that possibility. Some departments could do it, some departments could not do it. So would that be accurate to say?
I absolutely agree with you in the sense that we worked with the department heads and elected officials. And there were several rounds of discussions, as we all know, and they were productive. Obviously, as you said earlier, it's always difficult when we have to lay somebody off. And the hopes is that we can grow the economy and focus more on that so that there'll be the need for those positions again because of the amount of traffic, as you said, foot traffic. We were staffed at levels that probably would have represented the foot traffic we had maybe 10 years ago.
Just the word growth, I guess, would be appropriate.
Yeah.
And we're not having that growth, so
it's good.
Not necessary.
So yeah, but again, kudos to the folks that have worked with us.
All right, finally, what updates do you have on the Armstrong County Health Center?
Well, last week, Commissioner Scumai made a motion to, at public meeting, made a motion to move forward with the sale of the health center. That motion was seconded by Commissioner Scumai and unanimously agreed with by all the commissioners. So we're moving forward with the sell of the health center. We did not commit to selling it to one buyer or another. We're still doing that evaluation process right now.
I think what we're dealing with here is two difficult decisions. We went from the budget to the health center, but I think, and the main thing is it's the best interest of the community and the county here. I think we did our due diligence in looking into all these things, and they're tough. You know, they're decisions that nobody wants to really have put on their plate, but when you do, you got to do the best for everybody. And I think we stay from day one, the care and the jobs is the most important. Can't stress that enough. You know, whether side of the spectrum you're coming from, yeah, we understand that, but I think, you know, we've done our due diligence, brought a team along, and it wasn't just our sole decision. And these are things that we've been looking at as myself as a taxpayer for years, and also coming into it, looking into it more deeply. So it wasn't just the first few months that we've looked at this. I know myself, it's been an ongoing, you know, kind of a learning curve here to say, you know, what's going on here? Where's the money going? What are we paying on? And it comes down to basically, you're pretty much the state's got a lot of restrictions. There's a lot more to the puzzle here, but I think what we're facing, you can carry it from here.
I can tell you from experiences in working with the other boards of commissioners, the two previous, there were discussions even then about this. The storm was on the horizon. I think everybody knew that was the case as far as the financial status and the amount of money it would take to continue operating that at just the level it is, and that is without any capital improvements. That's probably tightening down on wages and of course maintaining patient care. I think with the decision to move forward with the private operator, though, provides an opportunity for capital improvements, which again we could not afford. It also offers an opportunity for growth, I think, within the structure of the workforce. There are a lot of companies that are looking to promote people. They're looking for good folks to bring forward. And then last but not least, and certainly probably the most important, is the patient care. The facilities that we visited, the patient care was at a very high level. Not that it isn't at our current health center, but some of the folks from the union side of the equation were with us and commented on staffing levels and how they were at a greater, ratio, nursing to patient ratio than we were able to afford, and that's a big deal when it comes to taking care of folks. So.
Yeah, I know, George, and I agree with a lot of what you said, and Jason as well. I mean, this has been exhausting. We're talking about 11 months of looking at this health center inside and out, looking at all the past, and we're still looking at a few right now, to be fair. But I think the decision last week was basically a financial decision. We could no longer, as a county, afford to dump money or pay for the upkeep of the health center. And there is no capital in the 2017 budget. You know, when we looked and talked to two bidders, as George said, they can put in the capital. You know, both bidders had worked with the SEIU, which was a concern from the union side of things. You know, I'll be honest, my biggest fear at the end of the day was that if we didn't take action, that the doors would be closed and the patients would be on the street. You know, hypothetically, if a boiler went next week, I use this all the time, we don't have the money to fix that boiler. And typically those doors could be shut and those patients could be on the street. This way, you know, the patient care remains the same. The taxpayers aren't given that burden with a tax increase to maintain that care, and a company can come in to do those improvements. And one thing that we often don't talk about, which was really not important but kind of a bonus, the building is back on the tax roll for the school district, for the county, and for Cantanning Borough.
That's a very good point.
Well, that's it for our show today. We'd like to thank our guests, Mr. Pat Fabian, Mr. Jason Renshaw, and Mr. George Skamai, and of course my mom, Jen Long, the Armstrong County Commissioners, Director of Admission, for joining our show tonight. Our thanks also goes out to our TV production students of Armstrong High School, led by their teacher, Mr. Don Swanson. They were our film crew today. This program will be aired in the usual time slot for Education Today on Comcast cable stations, as well as published on the County Commission website. Please join us again next week for another look at the Armstrong School District. DVDs, copies of this, and all Education Today programming can be requested by contacting Chris Garetano, multimedia technician at Armstrong High School. Visit our website for the updated information about the district, and have a great week.